back to business here, friends. Let's go into our second quarterfinal. Our top 8 bracket looks like this, and we have seen Mikko Araxinen pick up a win, now awaiting an opponent in the semifinals. So, who are we going to check out next? It's going to be Noé Offman versus Michael DeBendetto-Plummer, Simic Neoform, up against Tameshi Belcher. Both of these players having an excellent run so far. Michael on a pretty good streak indeed. Noé Offman, let's take a look at his run here to the top 8. Then taking a look at Michael DeBendetto-Plummer's also excellent limited record and facing a variety, taking out all the Esprit Warriors as it seems there, but yeah, one loss against them. But yeah, excellent run here to the top 8. And this should be a pretty good matchup, Corey. Let's talk about the deck lists. Who is favored going into this quarterfinal? Yeah, let's take a look at the deck list here. Noé is the first one we're going to be taking a look at. Let's put the Neoform deck list on the screen here. This matchup is very close. Statistically, throughout the Pro Tour, Belcher won 54% of the time. And when we were kind of talking to Michael DeBendetto-Plummer, he likes his Neoform matchup. Okay. So, you know, I would say slight edge to him, but it is 2 combo decks. You know, there's 4 Veils in the main. There's 4 Consigns in the main, which is a huge deal up against the Belcher deck. So, I mean, I was looking at both deck lists, and if I didn't look at the stats, I would have thought Noé is favored here because those are great cards against the mono blue deck. But let's take a look at Michael DeBendetto's list and see. Pretty much stock Belcher here, really just trying to resolve Goblin Char Belcher, activate it once, win the game. I will say the post-board games do get a little bit better, I would think, for Michael DeBendetto-Plummer with these sideboard cards. So I think if Michael can escape with a 1-1 pre-board record, that I would say big advantage to him. All right, Carmen, would you agree with Corey's analysis of this matchup?
Oh, definitely. Michael DeBendetto-Plummer is actually someone that I've had the pleasure of calling a bunch of his matches on the regional championship level. Nice. He has been very strong in multiple formats, and seeing him succeed on the Pro Tour stage has actually not been that surprising for me. So I really am excited to get to watch him play even more Magic.
And he's a Breach fan, so you know, I'm a fan of him. Let's go. Well, no Breach in this matchup, thankfully. Bless you, R&D. Corey's going to go and sulk now, but...
Yeah, I'm not happy with that, by the way.
Tip your waitress.
We are ready to rock and roll into our second quarterfinals. Let's hand it over to these lovely gentlemen in the booth. Riley Knight, Cedric Phillips, please take it away before we misbehave further.
Thanks very much, gang. Yes, we'll do our best to behave ourselves today. Very serious business of Sunday Magic. My name's Riley Knight, my regular casting partner here, Cedric Phillips. Well, hello. At least I hope he's regular. I haven't asked him about it recently. We're going to head down to our feature match area for what I understand is a quick flurry of game number 5s here.
That's the plan.
Yes, we're going to get across each and every one of the deciding games in these quarterfinals and find out who will be making it through to the semis and who will be packing their bags and heading home. Let's get to it. We're heading down to the feature match area again, once again to check in with these 2 players we've already mentioned. Noé Offman from the Great White North in Canada, playing off against Michael DeBendetto-Plummer. Had a bit of a run-up, still fumbled it. This bloke has been tying our tongues in knots all weekend, but he's certainly been getting it done in the feature match area with his Tameshi Belcher deck. One of 2 in our top 8 today, Cedric. We've got 2 combo decks going at it here in game number 5.
Yeah, this is kind of what Modern's all about. It is a combo-heavy format, and there's a lot of different ways you can go about doing it. There are very fast versions of combo decks, like Simic Neoform, and some that are a little bit slower, but a lot more consistent and resilient, like Tameshi Belcher. And I think that's why we see 2 copies of the Mono Blue strategy here in the top 8 this weekend. Going into game number 5, these games can end pretty quickly. If you're Plummer, your plan is to drag this game out a little bit by countering key spells and then eventually activating a Goblin Char Belcher.
So a couple of things to talk about. I want to come back to this Tameo because this is a post-board plan here for Michael. But Dr. Frank Karsten chimed in with some expert analysis of this matchup, Cedric, characterizing this matchup here as a turn 2 or turn 3 combo deck, Neoform, versus a turn 4 combo deck in Belcher. But a lot of relevant interaction that can be used to turn the tide one way or the other. And this, I think, is what this matchup comes down to. It's not how good you are at doing the thing that your deck is trying to do, it's how good you are at also preventing your opponent from doing their thing.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And both players have access to unique reactive permission. Counter spells is what we're thinking here, and then ways to kind of force cards through, like Veil, to force through a counter, to basically force your spell through a counter spell. So this is kind of interesting because for Neoform, I think went up pretty quickly in this matchup, if memory serves, as we're in game number 5 here. But, you know, obviously we're in game 5. I think we're maybe in the potential of a reverse sweep. But what we are seeing right now is, most importantly, Tamiyo's kind of getting to work here with these clues. I don't think we're going to see Tamiyo transform. I think it's just about attack, make a clue, draw a card, try to find more counter magic, and just kind of smooth out the draw a little bit.
We'll have a chat again about the sideboarding plans, but I can update you on the game score. DeBendetto actually started 2-0 here.
Okay.
Before Offman came back and equalized 2-2. So the Canadian on the verge of a reverse sweep here. And Michael looking to steady the ship. But I promised sideboard chat, and I'm going to come to it now. Focusing here on Michael, who has made some very significant changes.
Yes.
I would have thought. 3 Lotus Bloom, 2 Goblin Charbelcher out, right? This is what the deck is trying to do. Lotus Bloom into Charbelcher, and these cards have been boarded out for game 5. 2 Fallagy Archaeologists also hitting the bench, and unsurprisingly, the 2 copies of Stern Scalding. Not great in this matchup.
Yep.
Instead, bringing in a Force of Negation, 2 Flusterstorm, and 3 Consigned to Memory, which comes back to what you were talking about, interaction.
It's a counter spell.
Disruption.
Yep.
And then 2 Tamiyo, as well as a Tezzeret the Seeker. My suspicion there is it's not so much that these cards are great in the matchup, it's that they're better than Stern Scalding.
Correct. That's the correct assumption. And in the case of exactly Tezzeret, it's basically an additional copy of Charbelcher. So though a couple copies of Charbelcher are going out, Tezzeret is a blue card for Force Negation, and also just the kind of card that you can use as just a replacement Belcher, which we saw in our previous feature match.
When it comes to Noé Offman here, took out a Xenagos and a Golter, and all 4 copies of Pact of Negation, bringing in 2 copies of Mystical Dispute, and the Hope of Girapur card that we saw a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, and Hope of Girapur is actually quite good in this matchup because it does play the role of Pact of Negation, which is effectively forcing through your combo. But in the case of Hope of Girapur, it's a creature that will not get blown up once it's actually on the battlefield. It can attack safely in the air, get the damage through, then you sacrifice that and you go nuts and put your Gristlebrand into play and anything else. So, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Look who's back.
Look who's back. Hooting and hollering into our feature match area here. It's Hooting Mandrills. We had some good fun with this this card yesterday. Sort of an ancillary threat here for the Neoform player. It's a green card. It pitches to the cards, Allosaurus Rider, Nourishing Shoal, what have you. But it also just attacks for 4.
I mean, that's what it's going to try to do here.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
What do you think of that plan?
Well, I'm a little surprised, but also when you get into a sideboard matchup like this, you kind of see, some unorthodox things. So, did I come into this game expecting to see Hooting Mandrills coming in for 4, turn over turn? Absolutely not. But this Neoform deck can get a little crafty in sideboard games because, frankly, it needs to. The all-in nature of the deck can be kind of thwarted pretty easily via counter magic. And also, if you know that your opponent is boarding down some number of Belchers, they're not going to be as consistent in actually being able to kill you. They're boarding in counter magic that interacts with exactly Neoform and Eldritch Evolution. So just going towards a 4/4 creature that you can play ahead of schedule, that might be the route to go. And at least in this game, that is the route that Offman is going.
The other thing to think about here, and maybe this is only a fringe consideration, I think it's worth bringing up, with cards like Seagate Restoration, with cards like Hydroelectric Specimen, these are cards that cost a lot of life.
They do.
Right?
Three lives quite
It's a ton for what is essentially a basic island to come into play untapped.
Yes.
And so all of a sudden a 4/4 getting into the red zone, right, even in the mid-game, it's actually a very respectable threat when your opponent is starting on 14 life.
Yes, it absolutely is. And I kind of like this kind of shifty game plan here from Offman of, look, we've poked some fun at Hooting Mandrills this week, and of course, but this is a thing that can actually go about winning the game. And as you mentioned, it does have alternate uses in the deck because of Allosaurus Rider and what the deck is trying to accomplish. So it does look a little bit strange, but in this particular game and how Michael has sideboarded, this 4/4 can just keep trucking on in and potentially deal lethal points of damage.
Well, it's going to demand an answer sooner. Look, we're going deep on Mandrill chat here, and that's fine. I mean, it's on the battlefield. It's a clear and present danger. But it's a one-off, right? Like, this is not, the deck's not built around this as a plan B. This is just a nice thing you can throw in occasionally. Play a 4/4 for 1, 2, 3 mana with Delve. And if it gets there, it gets there. And if it doesn't, well, it hasn't cost you a lot to put a card that, again, pitches to Allosaurus Rider, to Nourishing Shoal, what have you.
Looks like we're just going to see a Veil cast right now.
All right. Veil of Summer.
And remember, this kind of plays the role of something like a Hope of Girapur or a Pact of Negation so far as you cast this first. This is very Orange Chant-esque.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to play this. I want to be able to force through all my things.
Because usually Veil of Summer is played reactively, right? Your opponent plays a counterspell, you play Veil of Summer, they play a removal spell, you play Veil of Summer. It's a reactive card. It can be used proactively, as you say, in this sort of silence-esque capacity to try to force through your game plan. And Michael's going to have to respond. His hand does have some interaction. I saw a couple of copies of Consign hanging out there.
And what I like about this, too, is that this is a really nice just test card of, okay, if you let this resolve, I get to do awesome stuff. So that means you're probably scared of seeing this resolve. And so as you can see, Michael head in hands a little bit here in Game 5 of the quarterfinals of a Pro Tour. Am I supposed to counter this? If I just let this through, is my opponent bluffing, or am I letting this through? My opponent gets to do their thing, or if maybe they just cast this, and I say that's fine, and then Offman just says, okay, go.
I don't know if it's going to be relevant here, right? But an important thing to note when you're facing off with a Veil of Summer against a card like Consign is that it doesn't protect you from having your abilities countered. Veil of Summer doesn't completely blank Consign to memory.
I suppose that's true, countering a triggered ability.
It can counter a triggered ability still through a Veil. Now, again, don't know if that's going to be hugely relevant here, but as I was reading through this text, I'm like, oh, it's interesting that it doesn't actually give you full protection against your opponent's Disruption Suite. Again, may not matter, but worth pointing out. I'm going to feel like a genius if it matters too. I'll be crying about it for weeks, Cedric.
Looks like Michael's going to crack the clue in response. We know there's at least a Disrupting Shoal in hand. Looks like it's going to be played and going to exile the Consign to attempt to take care of the Veil.
But in this, what in that? You've just double Thoughtseized your opponent for 1 green mana.
Yeah, and again, this may have just been I'm going to cast
it's
a
just
Veil.
A test in the water.
This Veil could be nothing. It could be something. Now, we do actually see a copy of Neoform in hand here for Offman, so it was something.
And the Allosaurus Rider as well. But in that situation there, you're still... It's not like you're disappointed to have dipped your toe in that particular pool. It's like, great, really. I got 2 cards out of your hand.
Yep.
Fantastic. A great result here for Noé. Now, he can continue to try to play his threats out. Obviously, if the Veil had resolved, that's probably what we'd see. But he doesn't have to.
One from the clue.
He can just pass, wait for a time to cast a Planar Genesis and continue on with the game. I really like this from the Canadians.
I like the positioning as things currently stand.
Guys, there's a big terms and conditions apply. See in store for details as Cedric Phillips today.
If the game were to stay in exactly this state, I think I'd like Offman's position, but
him with the 4/4 and his opponent with the 0/2.
Things can change rather quickly.
All right. Well, we'll see what's next on the docket here. Of course, I'll remind you that these games are untimed, so players are given a bit more leeway to play at what we often call, with some level of euphemistic obscurity, a measured pace.
Ah, yes. Yes.
At a leisurely pace, at a comfortable pace.
What's the rush? No one would be able to rush me through a game in the quarterfinals of a Pro Tour. That's not happening. I'm settling in.
Yeah. You're getting comfy.
Shoes off for sure.
Yeah. Updated your mailing address, the local post office.
Ooh, we're going for it. Okay, that's not happening.
No. All right.
XL.
So, force of negation here.
Now that's really interesting insofar as making the move with the Neoform, sacrificing a creature's part of the cost. Yeah. So now the Hooting Mandrill's plan of attacking, that's gone.
Yeah.
Is this just a Belcher now? Oh, boy.
Uh-oh. And, Offman sitting there with a Consign to Memory in hand as well. So he spun the wheel and lost in this situation. I imagine, Cedric, your analysis of this particular board state has shifted slightly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I think a Boseiju was just drawn, so that's huge.
All right.
And there's probably not a land for Plummer to be able to get either because the deck doesn't play any lands. Most versions have a land in the sideboard, but Boseiju is a clean answer to the Belcher, so very fortunate there for Offman.
Really, really nice one there. And still has the 1 mana up as well for the Consign that's in hand.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card there for Noé, but hey, you take the hand you dealt.
But I like this a lot now for Michael because Michael is able to fight through a Neoform by countering it, of course. Put a Belcher on the table to test the opponent. Opponent managed it. Okay, fine. But I still have Tamiyo going. It's just I'm drawing 2 cards a turn, right? And that's a really good position to be in, especially when Michael has all of these reactive elements to be able to interact with Offman. So I very much now, especially with the Hooting Mandrills off the battlefield, I really like where Michael's at in this game of drawing 2 cards a turn. I'll find another Belcher eventually. I'm not really in a rush for that, but I can build a hand that's effectively perfect if my draw steps are rewarding me.
This comes back to a conversation we were having before the round began, off air, where I was talking about these sideboard plans. I was like, oh, is Michael wanting to really slow down the game, right? With taking out the Lotus Blooms, taking out the Belchers. And you were saying, no, he's just attacking it from a different angle. He identifies, it's not that he wants to play a really slow and protracted game. He just recognizes that it's far more important because he's the slower combo deck to have a critical massive disruption to make sure his opponent can't do what he wants to do. How he wins the game is largely irrelevant at that point.
I agree.
If he has put Noé Offman off his game. If he's sitting there with 6, 7 cards in hand thanks to a Tamiyo, Offman sitting there with like 1 or 2 relying on the top of his library heavily favors the American in that situation.
Very much so. Very much so. And I like where Michael is now in this game with the Tamiyo going, plenty of man on the battlefield, able to really protect himself. Because remember, the Neoform deck doesn't really have a lot of control over its draw step, especially when you get into the mid game and the late game. And it has a lot of bad cards it can draw because those bad cards kind of enable the strategy. So, multiple copies of Allosaurus Rider aren't really great. You can draw some of your one-of-fun-ofs that you're not really looking for. So this, I think, favors Michael quite a bit right now.
I mean, you can just draw a handful of Eldritch Evolutions and Neoforms and no targets for them. And that's a bad feeling. All right, is that another Thundertrap Trainer?
Yeah, that's our first one here of this game. A card that rarely misses in this deck.
In this deck. Maybe I should start playing Belcher so I stop missing with Thundertrap Trainer.
I imagine it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good to find a Fluster Storm.
I wouldn't know.
Yes.
I wouldn't know. I've never got a card off Thundertrap Trainer. All right. In comes Tamiyo once again. This clue popping in and out of the battlefield like nobody's business. But yeah, Flusterstorm off the top's a nice one here from this Thundertrap Trainer. Going to make things even harder for Noé Offman here. I'll remind you, these players both at 2 wins in this best of 5 contest. Whoever wins this game is going to the semi-finals and will be playing the victor of our previous semi-final that I'm sure many of you have already watched. We have the Finn waiting in the wings. Mikko Arexinen.
Potentially a Belcher Mirror.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yep. Michael can continue this this fine form that he's demonstrating to us.
Yeah, and I don't think we've watched the Belcher Mirror.
No, I mean,
either, so that could be fun.
Trig on the stack. Genesis. 3.
Sure.
So we've got a Planar Genesis in response to the, is it a Surveil Land trigger?
I believe that may be true. It's in response. It's going to sound silly to say. It's in response to something. So we're going to see a Planar Genesis, as mentioned, and it looks like Offman has found a card to be happy with.
Okay.
Trigger Hedge Maze.
All right.
Got it.
This Surveil. Okay. Hidden away at the bottom.
From the old Hedge Maze.
And puts a forest in the bin. All right. Back over to Offman now, who picked up a card off that Genesis, that Planar Genesis there. Very cool looking card. I love a bit of abstract art on my Magic cards.
Oh, gonna take a look at the old Hope of Gear Pow. Maybe it's the first time it's shown up in the sideboard games. For you legacy players, vintage players out there, very Xantid Swarm-esque. With Xantid Swarm, it was an attack trigger, and then you brick all of your opponent's spells. With this one, you hit them, and then you sacrifice it.
Sort of a one and done type effect.
Very much so.
The Hope comes in, makes its statement, and then it's out of there. So is this still on the stack here? Is Michael still thinking about this?
I think he may still be thinking about this, yes.
Because he's got Consign to Memory in hand. He pitched one to a Disrupting Shoal earlier, but he's got a second copy.
Yeah, this one's kind of interesting because with exactly Hope of Gear Pow, remember, you actually have to, I want to make sure, you have to hit your opponent with this, and then you can sacrifice it and do your thing, right? So Tamiyo does fly.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a world that exists where you're just like, all right, I don't care about this. I can just block it with Tamiyo forever, and this card doesn't really matter. But, of course, when you have Tamiyo on the battlefield, you want to be attacking, creating your clues and all that stuff. So
there's a cost, is what you're saying. There's a cost. You can't play a second Hope of Girapur to get around the Tamiyo because it is legendary.
Correct.
And while we're waiting for these opponents, whether these players to make a play here, Cedric, do you want to tell us about the role of Hope of Europa in the ongoing story arc of Magic the Gathering? A really important aspect of the story, I believe. From
so happy Michael started taking his turn.
Oh, and unfortunately, he's just. So you'll have to stay tuned in for Cedric's Vorthos's hour, the Cedric Vorthos hour coming up later on.
Just ran out of time.
Yeah, so unfortunate. Right, Tamio, gonna crack a clue here.
Now the other option, right, is Tamio, crack a clue. That's a third card drawn. Transform it, which is what we might see here in just a moment. Wasn't sure if this was actually going to work itself into the equation or not. So Tamio is going to try to transform, and Consign is going to try to counter that. So this is going to be Consign replicated to counter a triggered ability, and Flusterstorm is going to battle those copies. So this is it looks like intentional.
Okay, so I don't think Michael realized that it was replicated.
I want to do something. He said it's not a legal play. I don't know what I am.
So he, I think that what's a slight disconnect between the two players.
Yeah.
So he cast Flusterstorm.
Yeah, and then he was like, so there's a Tamiyo flip trigger on the stack.
Yes.
And then I went Consign Replicates, so pay 3. And then he went Flusterstorm, cast Flusterstorm, and said target Oliver Consign. And that's when I said, that doesn't work, you don't have the storm.
Okay.
So it's like the trigger of...
so like, where
storm.
are we on? Are we on trigger storm, the trigger of Consign? Like, how is the stack right now? What is this card?
So at this point, we have...
we have 3 Consigns on the stack.
And I try to target 3 spells with 3 spells.
Yep, and so you have a legally casting, but you need to, basically you have to choose your targets for this because it will not counter all of those targets.
Yeah, I think this should be 3 Consigns versus 2 Flusterstorms.
That's my reading of the situation as well.
Okay.
I'm going to cast another Flusterstorm.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, problem solved, yes, it's a little bit humorous, but more importantly, that's 2 less Flusterstorms that Michael has.
Yeah.
Right, so...
Yeah. So a slight miscalculation or a slight disconnect between the two players there resulted ultimately in the second Flusterstorm being used to defend that Tamio trigger. So we now have Tamio's Seasoned Scholar on the battlefield. Not a card that we see a bunch here, Cedric. So let's remind ourselves of its ability.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't play much Vintage Cube.
+2 for the Tamio Seasoned Scholar. Until your next turn, whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control gets -1/-0. -3, so it can't be activated the turn that it flips. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If it's a green card, add 1 mana of any color. That's not going to likely be very relevant. Not a lot of green cards in this list. And then the ultimate, -7, draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library. Rounded up, you have no maximum hand size. So, useful little utility planeswalker here. And what's Michael hoping to get out of Tamio now that it's flipped?
The most important piece of the puzzle is just the plus to continuously target the Hope of Gearpal so that there's no combat damage dealt, can't sacrifice that, and then push through a bunch of spells, eventually getting to the -7, presumably. The -3 can work itself into the equation at some point here.
Bring back a counterspell or something?
Yep, that's ideal for the minus portion of that. And the -7, drawing cards equal number of cards in your library, rounded up, getting an emblem with no maximum hand size. The game is probably over at that point.
When you've got like 20 cards in hand?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because, like, say you draw like 20 cards and your deck has like, hypothetically, like less than 14 cards for your Belcher activation. I'm just saying it could be a little weird.
So it's funny because we kind of think, okay, you pay the activation of Belcher and you just win the game.
Yeah.
But you could conceivably get to a situation where it's like, all right, sure, activate it, I'll take 12.
It exists. Like, I think it's pretty unlikely, but it'd be fun if it played out that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, remember, like, Belcher, you activate, the cards go back, and then you can activate again. I'm just saying, like...
See, I didn't even know that. I was like, oh, wait, does Goblin Sharpshooter get sacrificed when you use it?
No.
Who knows? It's impossible to tell because we never get to that situation.
Yeah, that's the activate in the game.
That's it.
Concede.
Yeah, it's three mana tap in the game.
Yeah, but you do put the reveal cards on the bottom of your library in any order,
So
it would just be a weird way for the game to go.
Your opponent gets a stay of execution, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll wait till tomorrow, and then you're going to get belched into the sun.
It's one of my favorite cards of all time, honestly.
Goblin Charbelcher?
Yeah.
Really?
It's a super cool card.
It's a cool card.
It's a really fun design.
This is an interesting one to have as your favorite.
I think it's a really fun and unique design.
I'm glad that it's a card for you, Cedric.
Thank you so much.
That's really good. It's really. Ask me what my favorite card is.
I'm not going to do that.
No, do it.
No.
Oh, it's fussy.
I'm not going to say it.
It's fussy.
You're just going to tell me.
I'm going to tell you. What do you think of that? Analyze what that means. Your
favorite card is Search for a Land.
No, can't get a forest.
Fact.
You did. Lovely card.
Sorry, I can't. Grudge.
All right.
Can't force a negation that one, right, Maya?
I am sorry. I immediately caught it.
Game violation.
Yeah.
Looks like a judge is getting involved here.
I have a stop.
Okay.
I'm afraid about your dad.
Okay, well, that's certainly one way to...
Michael is letting them know right now.
Certainly one way to end a game of Magic. Flare of Denial and a Force of Negation. And a Goblin Charbelcher in hand.
Can I flip over there?
Oh, flip over the deck.
Okay,
Yeah, let's take a look.
see.
Let's take a look.
See. If are there any lands? Noé Offman's taking any chance possible here.
And there's the
The
island.
island's in the sideboard. Not Michael. DeBendetto-Plummer wins the 5th and final game here, and therefore will be featured in our semi-final. A Belcher Mirror as we head into the semis. Cedric, Canadian, going down 3 games to 2, fighting valiantly, but ultimately bowing out in our quarters. Congratulations to Michael. Came dressed for the part today. Very smart there. And we'll be seeing him, Cedric, in our semis.
We will for a Belcher Mirror, which would certainly be rather interesting. I have not watched one of those yet here this weekend, and so I'm actually kind of looking forward to doing so. Because that's just going to be
What's your favorite?
cool.
It's your favorite card.
I didn't say
It's your
that.
favorite card of all time.
It's one of my favorite cards.
Cedric
One
wrote
of
into
them.
Wizards being like, hey, give us... Wait, you just work there. You just walk down the hall. It's like, hey, can we
Yeah,
have Goblin
I can just go
Charbelcher?
talk. I can just go talk to someone and have that take place.
Okie dokes, we're going to catch up with Michael here after this win that he pulled off with his Goblin Charbelcher decks. Let's head down to the feature match area. Michael caught up with Ailey here to chat about this win.
I'm here with Michael DeBendetto-Plummer, who has just picked up a win in our quarterfinals. Michael, full 5 games. How did that match go for you?
Like we thought, the first 2 games are really easy for our deck. They don't have enough ways to stop about countering their spells. But post-board, it's a lot harder. Hope of Gear is really good. I learned in game 3, it says until your next turn. So a game I think I was like 95% to win. I was 5% to win, which wasn't great. But in the end, I had the one game I needed with the turn 1 Tameo, which like runs away with that matchup, blocks the Hope of Gear per, draws me cards, so they have to act fast. And yeah, I won.
All right, so business as usual. Looking ahead now to the semifinals, you're either facing Miko or Johnny. Do you have a preference on who you'd like to play?
I really like playing Mirrors, and Johnny beat me twice this weekend, so maybe I want to dodge him again.
Alrighty, well, Michael, best of luck. Go prepare for the semis, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you again here very soon.
Stay with us, my friends. We're going to be back at the feature match area here at Pro Tour Edge of Eternities from Atlanta. Don't go anywhere. On the other side of this break, more quarterfinals coming your way.